What's up, YouTube? We're going to do a video today on heading to the rifle range with your new AR15. Basically, if you've never been to an outside range or outdoor range, rifle range, there's a little bit of different rules, I guess you'd say. They're all safety oriented to basically create a safe environment for everybody to shoot safely, do what they need to do, and really not have any accidents. It can be kind of intimidating, and it can be embarrassing if you kind of show up not knowing really what to do, what the etiquette is, and kind of get jumped on by the range officer. You know, a lot of ranges, at least the ones I go to, have on-duty range officers most of the time, whether they just kind of pass through and check on you every so often, or a full-time dedicated range officer that runs the range. It should operate the same way whether there's a RO there or not. You should still adhere to the same safety rules, like I said, whether they're there to enforce them or whether you're just there, with a couple guys or there by yourself. You always run it the same way, just to keep yourself and others safe. And just know that some are a little more brash than others in how they conduct themselves on the range. I've had some, really good range officers in the past. And I've had a few that stuck out that thought maybe they're just kind of abusing their power a little bit, or whatever you want to say. But this will basically keep them off you, where they don't have to come talk to you. Because, just depending on what range officer you run into, they may really be brash and kind of embarrass you and kind of ruin the experience for you. And that sucks, for everybody or whatever. And you just hate to see someone get yelled at for something they just didn't know. But at the end of the day, you got to know that it's a safety issue that they're probably getting on you for, and you can't take safety lightly. So I do understand sometimes when guys are a little more brash than others, sometimes you see situations that could have been handled a little differently, but at the end of the day, they're trying to keep us all safe. So just kind of go in with an open mind, understanding that, and I'll kind of walk you through the process. That way, hopefully you won't be the guy that gets yelled at or whatever, your first time going to do a range. So basically, I'll go through some equipment that'll make your life easier, and I'll tell you if it's kind of a required piece of equipment or more just make your life easier and you could acquire it as you go. Number one is a set of earmuffs. I run electronics. Electronics are so much easier because you can put them on and you can still hear a decent conversation back and forth. There's no need to shout. Can't hear what somebody else is saying, especially commands from the range officer. Some ranges you go to will have a PA booth, some won't. Most of the ones I go to don't. Just a guy kind of walking around. So, if he's trying to tell you something, you may not hear him the first time, and then he's thinking you're ignoring him or something, that, he might be yelling at you then. Well, when he's yelling at you, hey, I told you, blah, blah, hey, everybody can hear it. It's kind of an embarrassing situation. Like I said, especially if you're new and you've never been kind of got onto like that or whatever, and you're like, oh man, this sucks, and you kind of want to crawl in the hole. So, electronic earmuffs, like, once again, not required electronic, but earmuffs or some type of hearing protection is required. So you do have to have something, whether it's even like a cheap set of over the ears from Walmart or Amazon or something for $10, $15 or whatever, or some even inner ear plugs. Inner ear plugs don't work as good, especially at a rifle range, just because the dBs are a lot higher, so they might not protect you as well. They're doable, they're passable, they'll let you on the range with them, but I would recommend picking up a set of these, whether it be electronic or whether it be standard. If you don't have the money to drop at the time to get electronics, which these are they've come down, but these are Howard Lights, and they're in the about $40 range or so on Amazon, $40, $50. And there's cheaper sets out there. These have lasted me for years and they work good. I highly recommend them. But when you go to some training classes, electronics are required, so you can't hear the instructor. But anyway, some type of hearing protection. And remember, when you're going to an outdoor range, you're probably walking up to people shooting. So these go on, in the parking lot or whatever, on your way to the range, basically walking in. So, get all your stuff, whatever that you're going to take in with you, and put your ear protection on in whatever you're wearing before you actually make your way to the range. So like I said, definitely a piece of required equipment. Electronic, not so much, but a good option if you have it. Another thing, once again, not required, but it'll make your life a lot easier, staple gun. These are cheap. You can pick them up at Walmart. This one's a pretty heavy duty one, but you don't need a heavy duty one because you're just basically stapling paper to cardboard. I'm sure you can pick them up $5-6 at Walmart. Just make sure you get some extra staples with you to throw in. And what I did is I made a little tote. You can pick them up at Home Depot, Walmart. Just a little plastic tote with kind of a foldable, closable lid. And I kind of keep all my outdoor shooting related stuff in it, so I can just grab that tote, grab whatever gun I'm taking and my hearing protection. And I always keep spares in that tote. Just some cheap $10 earmuffs and some inner ear plugs. So if I do happen to walk off, I've done it in the past and forgot my hearing protection or whatever, at least I have a secondary set I can use and it'll get me by, so I don't basically have to drive all the way home and get them. Staple gun, like I said, nice. You get a target, you just pop, 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 nice and quick. They'll usually supply tape, but usually where you pay or something, they give you tape and you got to kind of tape it across you, and it's just kind of a pain. Especially it starts picking up lint, it don't want to stick. If the weather's kind of bad or if it rained earlier in the day or something, the backing's kind of wet, a lot of times the tape don't want to stick right. So definitely not required equipment, but will make your life a lot easier for the $5-6 you'll have invested in it. It'll be money well spent. Like I said, another thing to just kind of throw in, keeping your tote, buy an extra one just for your range tote. Another great piece of equipment. Another thing is what I do is I kind of prep my tote with, like I said, what I'm going to need. I'll throw a couple magazines in there for common guns that I use, just to keep, and just designate those as the range tote ones. So if you do happen to forget a magazine for your gun you're taking, at least you'll have a spare in your tote. I usually keep 100 rounds of like 223 in there, 5.56 whatever that I'm shooting, or 7.62 by 39. So if I do actually walk off and forget the ammo I wanted to shoot, I at least have some to shoot with me. So like I said, so your range day is not over before it started. Like I said, it's all stuff that you can prep for, and it doesn't cost a lot. Especially it's ammo you can always burn up later or whatever. I just like to keep 100 rounds in there or so. Like I said, just as backup stuff if you happen to forget your ammo you wanted to shoot, it won't end your day. So another thing, just not required equipment. Just it's nice. It'll save you in the long run. It might save you a wasted trip. Another thing is some sort of bag, shooting bag, case, something. It don't have to be fancy. It could be, again, another $20 like Plano case, or a soft, $15 soft case, zipper case, just something. I noticed not all rifle ranges require them, but it's just a smart idea. To have something that your gun's covered up in, so you're just not walking up to the range carrying a rifle. It kind of puts everybody on edge. It's going to get the RO's attention, obviously, and that's what I try to do, is just fly under the wire. I don't like, guys breathing over me, telling me this, telling me that. If obviously if I'm messing up, then they're going to have to tell me something. So I like to just kind of be the gray man at the range, just get my shooting done, get what I need to do done, and then take off, have a good experience, not get yelled at, not be that guy, that's the guy's over there just freaking pointing at and doing whatever and making a big scene about. So once again, bag of some sort, nothing fancy, isn't required. I would say it's almost required equipment, I would say, because I wouldn't feel comfortable rolling up with an exposed gun, out of my car, out of my trunk. And if nothing else, when you're transporting it from your house to your car, that's another thing you got to think about. You should have a case to get it from there to there anyway. If you live out in the country, it's one thing. But if you're living in the city, the suburbs or something, it just looks weird. You're going to cause a lot of attention you don't want. If you're carrying a rifle in your hand out to your car and your neighbors are watching you, or people driving by or whatever. So just like I said, case, I would say it's required, but it doesn't have to be fancy. Nothing crazy, just something that covers the gun, gets you to and from. Another thing is, I would say it's optional at some ranges. Some ranges do require them. This is a chamber flag. These are usually $1 a piece. A lot of times the range sells them $1, $2 or something like that. I'm sure they can be had online cheap on Amazon or eBay, or a number of other sites like Brownells or whatever. But I would say that's going to be required equipment for me, at least. I take one for each rifle that I'm taking. So anytime a rifle's not bagged, the range I go to, if it's not bagged, it has to be chamber flagged before you do a ceasefire. And I'll go under the rules. I'll cover the rules of a ceasefire here pretty quick, because that's the quickest way to get the RO's attention that you're doing something unsafe. And it really, I shoot a lot. I shoot at ranges, public ranges, and I shoot some private land, stuff like that. Nothing's more eerie than not knowing the guy next to you or whatever is fiddling with your gun when you're trying to go down range or whatever. So we'll cover that under ceasefire. So basically, once you show up, you put your tote, and I always never put my targets or my staple gun or anything that's going to go down range on my shooting bench, because most places have a rule once they call a ceasefire, you're not to touch your bench. So you want to make sure all that stuff that you might need, new targets, staple gun, what have you, that you're going to grab to go down range is not on your bench. A lot of times they have, benches behind you, or benches, you can put it down beside the bench, something like that. But sometimes I go to one range that has an area marked off in red that you can't pass once a ceasefire happens. So I always put my stuff that's going to go down range behind me. They have like benches back there or some tables. Make sure all that stuff, all my gear gets set in the back. I just basically put ammo, mags, and rifles on the bench. So once again, once you show up to the range, you get all your stuff settled. Like I said, I would recommend putting your stuff behind you if there's an option as far as anything but your gun case and your ammunition. Put your little tote with your staple gun, your targets, everything behind you. Set this up on your bench. Make sure that the gun's facing down range in the case. Even if you got to kind of pop it open, like this one's the same on both sides. So if I forget what orientation I put the gun in, I can just pop the zipper, look down. Okay, it's pointing that way, so I can get it oriented. I can go to pull my gun out. And make sure that it's live fire going on at the time. It's not a ceasefire, because you can't touch your guns at most places, or it's just a good habit. Don't touch your gun during a ceasefire for any reason, any means. You can't work on it. You can't go, oh, I'm going to put it away. Don't touch your gun during a ceasefire. Like I said, even with me, when there's not an RO working and you're down there and the guy's like, oh, I'm getting ready to leave, and there's 3 or 4 of us down range and he starts grabbing a gun, man, that's an eerie feeling, because you don't know what that guy's safety habits are or whatever, if he checked it, if he did whatever he's going to do. So just don't do it. That's the best thing. Everybody else will respect you for it. You won't make any new enemies that day. You won't get any sideways comments. Just be safe. Everybody's out there to be safe. If you don't break a safety rule, it doesn't matter if you can't shoot. No one's going to be over there yelling at you because you don't know how to shoot. It's when you break a safety rule. So just be really cognizant. They'll usually give you a flyer that you sign. Usually they'll give you a copy of the rules. Read them. If you've never been there, read them. They'll tell you pretty much what you can and can't do. Read the safety rules. If there's something specific that range requires you to do it. That's you're there. You're paying their range, their rules. If it's some kind of off in left field, man, it's their range. If you don't like it, you got to find another range. That's just how I feel about it. Is I accept the terms and conditions when I sign my name on the waiver, that I'll follow all rules at that range. So follow them. Just read them and follow them. So once the gun's out, you put your case down. Everybody's shooting or whatever. It's live fire going on. You pull your gun out. So what you do is you pull it out and make sure this gun was unloaded before you came to the range. Don't ever show up to the rifle range with a loaded gun in your bag. That's the fastest way to get thrown out, get yelled at, whatever. They just don't really tolerate that kind of stuff. So make sure you cleared it before you put it in the bag, which you should have did anyway. At this point, you're going to clear it, check it, pull the action bag. This is where we're going to say is a downrange area. Cool, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and lock the slide, or lock the bolt to the rear. I got an open chamber where everybody can see in it. I'm going to take my chamber flag, and what this does is basically this shoves down into the chamber, down the barrel. And what that does, that proves at just a passing glance to anybody who's concerned, if this is in here, there's obviously no shell in there, because it would take up the space. A shell would take up the space that couldn't go in. So that's why a chamber flag is a good idea, because just at a quick glance, anybody can tell that gun's unloaded. Slides lock back, safety's on, slides lock back, and the flag's in there. There's no way there's a round in that gun, right? That's 100% unloaded gun, and it's down. I grounded it on my bench. I'm going to ask the range officer or whatever, he see me walk up. I'm sure he'll give those guys a warning. If they haven't been downrange in a while, hey, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, to ceasefire. Those guys are going to run through their string. Once he calls ceasefire, everything on your bench is basically out of bounds, if you want to say it. It's out of bounds. You don't approach the bench. You don't touch the bench. He's going to usually have everybody step back behind any kind of line that's painted, away from the bench. Make sure no one's fiddling with anything on their bench. Nothing. I mean, you can't leave your cell phone there and go, oh, I gotta grab my cell phone. Don't touch your bench. You know, that's the rule I seen broken the most. You know, that people just don't kind of get, and you know, range officer gets on, hey, ceasefire, don't touch. You know, don't be that guy. You know, and he'll basically leave you alone. You won't be, you know, kind of singled out and yelled at or whatever. And like I said, kind of ruin your day on the experience. Once ceasefire, that bench is 100% off limits. Walk back, you know, grab your targets, whatever in the bucket or box that you put behind you. You know, grab your targets, grab your staple gun, and then when he calls, okay, range is cold, or you're good to hang your targets, or you know, ceasefire is in effect, you know, whatever range commands they happen to yell that tells you, is finalized to tell you, hey, it's safe to go down range. Then you know, you walk straight down range. You don't touch anything on your bench. You pass your bench up. You go down. You know, you staple your targets. You tape them. However you're gonna get, you know, get your targets down there. Another good item is these shooting C's. These can be picked up cheap. This is like an off-brand, off Amazon. You can pick them up at your local store. Walmart sells them. They're all over. If you're shooting an AR, especially with iron sights, if you haven't shot before, 100 yards is a long ways with iron sights. It's a long ways to see. If you don't have any kind of binoculars with you, or you don't have at least like say 4 power magnification or so type optic on your AR, or another gun with you or something, it's hard to see. You're gonna be straining. You're gonna have a hard time to see. If you do get hits on there, you can see the kind of like the little green outlines it makes, and it does pick up a lot better with your eye. It's still, for me, it's hard to see this green splash at 100 yards with my naked eye. I struggle to see it. So I always have either a set of binoculars or a spotting scope or something with me, or an optic, you know, on another rifle that's capable of seeing that distance. For me, your eyes may be better than mine. You may be able to see this at 100 yards with iron sights, you know, just through your naked eye. And the thing is, if you can't see where bullet impact is, you can't make your adjustments. You know, if you're shooting, you don't know where you shot, where do you go? You know, then you almost have to wait till the next ceasefire, go down range, look to see where you're hitting, come back, make the adjustments, fire, wait till the next ceasefire, go down. So just a cheap set of binoculars or something, or and I hate buying inexpensive equipment, but you know, some will get you by. I run these. This is my like hunting setup or whatever. These are just Vortex Diamondbacks, and they can be had on eBay or Amazon for, I want to say, about $160. And these things are definitely worth the money. They're super clear. I put these against the Zeiss I used to have. I had some Zeiss Conquests that were 4 times the money, and one is or equally as clear, I guess you'd say. I can't say one was really better than the other. So if I can't tell the difference, you know, why pay 4 times the money? But anyways, just some sort of magnified equipment makes it nice. Obviously, again, it's optional, but it'll definitely make your day a lot smoother, a lot easier. If you have, you know, optics on your AR, you know, if it's just a red dot, same difference, they're not magnified, you're going to struggle with the same way of seeing bullet impact down there. So set of binoculars will make your life a lot easier. It'll make for a funner experience. You can make the adjustments because you can see in between strings, you know, in between ceasefires. But that's another piece of optional equipment, but really will make your life easier. So after you've shot, you know, you made your corrections. They call this, you know, you come, or actually after you hung your targets. Let's go from there. After you hung your targets, you got a nice clean target out there. You come back. You still don't touch your bench. You stand behind the line if they got a line painted, something like that. Just stand as far back as you can. You know, if they got a little area off the concrete, whatever the rules may be. Then they say, okay, everyone's back. You'll wait till everyone gets back behind that line. They'll look down, you know, RO look down the line, or, you know, when RO's not there, everybody's an RO or even an RSO, you know, range safety officer. Everybody's an RSO. You know, you're all responsible for safety out there. So, you know, whoever will make the determination, you give a thumbs up, you know, all the way down the line, whatever they do. Okay, range is going hot. At that point, you put your hearing protection back on, and then you're safe to approach your bench, load your rifle, do your firing string, you know, do whatever you want to do. So at that point, you know, you pull your chamber flag out, set it aside, load your rifle, you know, put your magazine in, load, do your firing string, bang, 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 fire whatever you're going to fire, 10 rounds, 100 rounds, whatever, till the next ceasefire. The next ceasefire, usually they'll give you a warning. You know, you'll see another guy show up, or everybody's just been shooting for a while and they want to go check or change targets. They'll say, Sometimes I'll walk up. If there's not many people there, sometimes I'll walk up and go, hey, finish that string. You know, basically what he means is whatever you got left in the magazine, and then we're going to have a ceasefire. Or he'll say 2 minutes ceasefire, 5 minutes ceasefire, however they want to do it. And basically that means, you know, finish your string, don't rush it. You know, finish your string, what you're doing, and then get your rifle in that same condition. You're going to, you know, like I said, pop the magazine out. You're going to lock the slides to the rear. You're going to look down. You know, okay, I've got an empty chamber. I'm going to grab my chamber flag, put it down. I'm going to ground the rifle. And once I get up from my shooting bench, you know, make sure you grab your cell phone or your cup of coffee or what, you know, whatever you want with you during the ceasefire. Get all that in your hands or on you before you stand up and walk away from the bench, because you're not going to want to approach that bench again until it's right. You know, he calls that the range is hot again. So get all your stuff. You know, your targets. If you happen to leave your targets there or whatever, grab your targets. Grab your staple gun. Grab your coffee. You know, grab your cigarettes. Whatever you need, and then walk away from that bench. And you're not going to touch that bench again until he calls that the range is hot and they're ready to go again. So hopefully those tips, guys, will help you enjoy your first shooting experience. It's kind of a required thing out there. With, you know, just depends on the RO that's running the range. They can be a little harsh. They can be a little brash, but just give them a little bit of leeway. They're not. I don't think they're necessarily, you know, trying to pick on you for any reason. It's just safety involved. You know, if say you're going down range and you're going to hang targets, and you got a guy who says, man, I'm going to adjust this scope here, and he starts messing with his gun. Well, how eerie is that? There's a guy behind you messing with a gun, and you don't know the condition of that gun. You don't know how safe he is. You know, if he's going to load around, going, oh, this thing was jamming earlier, let me hand cycle a few rounds to it. You know, I don't want anybody touching a gun when I'm downrange, and I expect the same. I'll give you the same respect as I expect from you. You know, I'm not going to touch a gun while you're downrange at all. I don't care what, you know, I'm not going to clean it, I'm not going to even put it in my bag, because I'm not going to touch this gun until you come back. And I expect the same from you. You know, that's kind of how I shoot, you know, at a range. I'll give you the same respect, you know, or I want you to give me the same respect as I'll give you. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to touch a gun while you're downrange. So if you do those few things, and like I said, just the safety aspect of it, keep everyone safe. You know, the guy's not going to harp at you, he's not going to yell at you or whatever. You know, you're not going to have a rough time. You know, a lot of ROs, like I said, they're there to help you. You know, that's why a guy is an RO. So if you're struggling with something, you know, hey, go talk to the guy. You know, even raise your hand or something if he's next to you or whatever. Just say, hey, buddy, can you help me out for a second? Man, that's what they're there for. They're going to bend over backwards for you 99.9% of the time. I mean, you know, unless the guy's having a bad day or something like that, but that's what those guys signed up for. They want to help shooters. You know, they want to keep everybody safe, and they want you to have a good time. So, like I said, you know, I've never, you know, where I've been an RO or I've done RO work for or whatever, or if I've just been out there shooting, you know, guys see that, you know, you're kind of squared away or whatever, even if I'm not the RO that day, he says, hey, can you help me? Man, heck yeah, I can help you. I always got time. If I'm at the range, I'm having fun. You know, I might be there for a specific task if I'm zeroing a rifle or if I'm testing a load or something, but I always got time. You know, in fact, nothing else, I got to cool barrels between strings anyway, you know, so I'm usually got nothing to do half the time I'm there because I'm waiting for barrels to cool. So I love nothing more than helping somebody. You know, that to me that shows a lot of initiative. If someone will break out of their, you know, their shell and kind of do that awkward thing to go ask somebody. You know, and sometimes it's hard to do. You know, to just walk up to a stranger and ask for help. But you know, if someone's going to go through that, I'm going to do everything I can to help them. You know, I'll sit there with them for half an hour if I need to. You know, to get them right, get them squared away, get them feeling, you know, like we got their problem fixed. You know, or at least under control or whatever. There might be something they have to do when they get home or buy a part or something like that, you know. But I'll go way out of my way to help somebody. And I think, you know, most ROs you run into is on the same page. Just don't break a safety rule, you know, because they have to keep me safe just like they got to keep you safe, and this guy and this guy. So, you know, if you're doing an unsafe act and getting these guys' safety, you know, or putting their safety at risk, he's got to jump on you because he owes it to these other guys. You know, he owes it to everybody, just like he owes it to you to keep you safe. So don't take it wrong if you get jumped on your first time or second time or, you know, however it goes. But if you follow the simple rules that I told you on this video, you'll be fine. You know, the guy won't come out there and really harp on you or whatever. He'd probably be more than happy to help you if you need help. But like I said, just keep it safe. Keep it safe for you and keep it safe for everybody else. Because at the end of the day, everybody's got to go home. You know, it's not a fun trip if someone, you know, has an AD or actually an ND, be an ND, you know, and scares the life out of somebody. You know, what if gun goes off, pow, and there's a new shooter right next to you, you know, or you're the new shooter and gun goes off. Man, that's going to sour you out. And you're not gonna go back or whatever to that range, or even shoot around public anymore. So don't ruin the experience for somebody, just like you don't want your experience ruined. So anyways, guys, I kind of ran on about it, but I hope those simple tips, you know, you can take it with you. Just be safe. If you took nothing else from it, just take the safety aspects and have a good time at the range. And if we ever run into each other, man, I'd be glad to help you out with anything you ever needed there, you know, that I could walk you through. All right, thanks for watching, guys.